If you've ever wondered if that fatigue, brain fog, headaches, or sinus congestion that you're dealing with might be coming from mold, you're not alone. Millions have been exposed without even realizing it. I've had many clients think that it's just allergies or those are just normal headaches, only to find later that mold toxins were the hidden cause. In the next few minutes, I'll be walking through the symptoms to look for, the best ways to test, and the first steps in helping you to detox safely. Mold toxicity is often missed because of a couple of factors. The first is the symptoms of mold toxicity often mimic other conditions like chronic illnesses such as Lyme or chronic fatigue or some type of autoimmune flare. As you'll see when we start talking about the symptoms of mold toxicity, many of these are also in these other conditions. So it's sometimes hard to tease out what the root cause of this problem is. Another major reason is many doctors won't even acknowledge this as a real condition, nor will they test for it unless you press for it. So you have to be your own health advocate. Lastly, I want to tell you that I find that if my clients that I'm working on that have mold toxicity don't get out of the environment that they're either working in or living in that's moldy, they never seem to improve from their chronic illness. So that's another thing you have to address, we'll talk about later. Some of the common symptoms of mold toxicity depend on the area of the body affected. In the neurological system, you might have fatigue, you might have brain fog, memory issues, anxiety, mood swings, depression, and others. In the musculoskeletal system, you might have numbness and tingling, you might have muscle pain or joint pain. In the respiratory system, you might have sinus congestion, postnasal drip, a chronic cough, or shortness of breath. And there are other system symptoms that can happen with this as well, like poor sleep, chronic fatigue, skin sensitivity or rashes, and light sensitivity. Like we talked about earlier, these symptoms can often mimic other conditions like Lyme, an autoimmune flare, or chronic fatigue. So it's hard to sometimes tease this out, and it takes testing to understand what's at the root cause. Share the symptom you're suffering from most related to this in the comments below. There are several tests that allow you to test your home and also test your body to see if you are dealing with mold or mycotoxins. Two tests for the environment that you're living in are ERMI, E-R-M-I, and Hurts Me Too. Both of these are done by professionals that you can find online that will come into your home, and they will run these tests, and they will give you information on the mold or the mycotoxins that might be in your home that you're being exposed to. Urine mycotoxin tests from Great Plains and Real-Time Labs give you evidence of what might be happening in your body, what kind of mycotoxins are in your body. And this gives us a clue as to maybe whether these symptoms are coming from mold toxicity versus maybe Lyme or other things. And then Richie Shoemaker has a website called survivingmold.com, but he has created a test called the visual sensitivity contrast, the VSC. This is a quick way that you can actually do online to tell if you have been exposed to mold in some way, and it also can be done in the office. So putting these together will give us a better clue of what's happening in your body and maybe where you're getting exposed to this problem. Let's hope it's not your home. So where do you start in this whole process if you're suspecting mold, or if you've gotten some of the tests back and you find that you have mold exposure? Well, the first thing I want to address is no detox can happen if exposure continues. If you expect to take a bunch of binders and try to get rid of this problem and you don't get rid of the source, you're fooling yourself. Now, I realize this is an expensive process, and there are multiple ways to do this. There are professional remediators that you can hire. I've had clients that have tried this on their own. They've remediated their own home. They've purified their own home. You for sure want to get air filters. There's a halo that can go in your air conditioning system that cleans the central air. You have Molecule and Green Air Pro that are filtered, HEPA filters that allow your air to be continually cleaned. And this is something you're going to have to change on a regular basis. I had one lady that took one room at a time, and she did testing pre and post, and she was able to get rid of the mold in her apartment. And she just did a little bit at a time. Now, as far as starting it with the body, how do you start to help the body? Well, you want to start gentle. You want to make sure you're hydrating yourself, getting plenty of electrolytes. Start with some gentle binders. Humic and fulvic acid is a good one. Charcoal is a good one. Chlorella is another one. These are great binders. You want to start slow. You don't want to rush this process. Preferably, you're going to have a guide, somebody like me or others that actually can walk with you and help you through this process. Some people get a little too gung-ho too, and they start going fast on this, and they end up having a really bad time with detoxing. So start slow. Get yourself on a low inflammation diet as well. This will help to take the stress off the body and also help your body to process things a little bit easier. So these are some gentle steps to start with. Like I said, you want to try to get some help with this because this is not something to mess around with. So again, brain fog, fatigue, shortness of breath, sinus congestion, sleep problems, anxiety. Many of these can be related to mold toxins. Get yourself tested, test your home, find out if you're dealing with this, and get some professional help, both for remediation and walking through this problem. We're here to help. If you're interested, drop a comment below. We'd love to reach out to you. Also, check out my website at functionalhealthtn.com. We've got a new blog coming out on mold and mold toxicity that'll give you a little bit more information. You can reach out to me as also through the comments, and I'll try to answer some of your questions there. So I hope you get some help, and tune in for the next video.